What's up, guys? Thank you for clicking on this video. Before we get into this video really fast, I want to tell you guys about Barbarian Apparel. It's where we do our custom team store, and you can do your custom team store there as well. They handle everything from design to shipping, everything. They'll take care of you. Go check out barbarianapparel.com for your next custom team store. It's the stuff that I wear no matter where I go. Thanks, guys.
This is Jamil Kelly earning a silver medal at the 2004 Olympic Games in Athens, Greece, and this would be the last time that the United States has medaled at the Olympics at this weight. A weight that the United States has had a lot of success at in previous Olympic cycles. Even to this day, the United States has failed to medal at 65 kilograms since Kelly's silver medal. However, the 2016 cycle for the Rio Olympics, the United States had hope, and a lot of it. Enter Aaron Pico.
What's your name?
Aaron Pico.
What do they call you?
Chiefs.
How come?
When I was a baby, I had big Chiefs.
When Aaron Pico was a young boy, he wanted to be a bull rider, but instead, his parents signed him up for wrestling. Growing up in Whittier, California, he had no shortage of training partners and coaches. Pico grew up wrestling at the famous Monster Garage under the tutelage of head coach Ruben Valencia. Ruben had something special in his garage, with athletes turned training partners Zahid Valencia, Anthony Valencia, Kate Olivas, and none other than the phenom himself, Aaron Pico. And the hard work paid off. Let the hype begin.
And here we go.
When Aaron Pico entered high school, he had already garnered some attention from the wrestling community by winning multiple state titles as a cadet and some Fargo titles along the way. Pico started off his freshman campaign winning the famous Doc Buchanan Invitational in California and a Walsh Ironman title all the way out in Ohio as a freshman. The stock in Aaron Pico was rising rapidly. Pico finished his freshman campaign by finishing with an impressive 42-0 record and a state title. This was extremely impressive as a freshman, as it was at 132 pounds in California, which is a one-class state. After spending some time with Zeke Jones while on a trip in Russia in the fall of 2013, Team USA's head coach saw just how good Aaron Pico was. He offered Pico a spot on Team USA in the USA vs. Russia duel in November of 2013. Facing a senior level Russian in your first senior level bout is no small task. Aaron Pico defeated Ali Beggatsi Emiev?
Not even close, bud.
8-0. The hype was real.
I know it's real. It's real. I know it's real.
With the chance to become a four-time state champion in California and an undefeated one at that, Aaron Pico had a decision to make. Should he continue his high school career or should he move on? Ultimately, it seemed that he was bored with high school wrestling.
He won junior nationals in Fargo, which is the toughest high school tournament there is.
He already proved to himself that he was good enough to compete at the next level. Pico did not care about being labeled the best wrestler in the state of California or even the country. He wanted to be the best in the world. And to do so, he was willing to do whatever it takes. With his sophomore campaign on the horizon, Aaron Pico had a life-altering decision to make. Before his high school state tournament his freshman year, the Picos took a trip to Colorado Springs with the idea of Aaron moving closer to the Olympic Training Center to help aid his dream of being an Olympic champion. This game plan has worked in the past for another phenom by the name of Henry Cejudo when Henry Cejudo moved to Colorado Springs at the age of 16 and won a gold medal at the 2008 Olympics.
USA wrestling history.
Word got around that Pico was flirting with the idea of foregoing his high school and college career, and the MMA community came knocking. Aaron Pico was special to the wrestling community because of how good he was at such an early age, but he was even more special to the MMA community. What I haven't mentioned to you yet is that he was equally as good of a boxer as he was a wrestler. At the age of 11 years old, Pico was a Gold Gloves national champion. At 13 years old, he was a Pancration national champion. He idolized Floyd Mayweather and George St. Pierre. He was often seen shadowboxing in preparation for many wrestling matches. This was at the time that MMA was seeing a trend with wrestlers who put together impressive striking performances. MMA fighters were becoming multifaceted, and specialists or singular skilled fighters were a thing of the past. Aaron Pico was draft pick number 1 for any MMA scout. Aaron Pico and his family never ended up moving to Colorado, so they stayed in California, which is a hotbed for an MMA prospect. When MMA execs started making offers to Anthony Pico, Aaron Pico's father, it was clear that they needed assistance. That's when Anthony Pico reached out to California-based agency Zinkin Entertainment. Anthony Pico only reached out to the Zinkins for some legal advice regarding the issue. At the time, the Picos wanted to preserve his NCAA eligibility, but after Pico's state finals performance and its performance against a senior level Russian, they knew it was time for Aaron to move on, even if that meant no college wrestling. On New Year's Eve, the day before January 1st, 2014, Aaron Pico signed a deal with Zinkin Entertainment, a full-service sports management firm that has represented Luke Rockhold, Chuck Liddell, Daniel Cormier, and Ben Askren, to name a few. A few months later, Aaron inked a deal with Dethrone MMA and even Nike, where it was alleged that Aaron Pico was to get his own signature wrestling shoe.
Yeah, I'm excited to be working with Nike. I'm the first person, a wrestler, to do it, and I'm excited to wear the shoe, and there's many athletes that they represent, and for me to be part of that.
Although all this is possible in today's world of NIL, this was not possible to do without throwing away your amateur status. Aaron Pico would no longer be able to compete in high school or the NCAA. However, as previously stated, Aaron Pico did not care about being a multiple-time state champion. He didn't care about being an NCAA champion. He wanted to be an Olympic champion. After signing all these deals, it was time to get to work. 2014 was a grind year for Aaron Pico. 2 days after signing the deal with Nike, Pico went on to win Junior Nationals, defeated Penn State freshman Zane Rutherford via a 7-0 decision. The hype didn't stop as Bleacher Report wrote an article at this time labeling Pico the future king of fighting and compared him to Tiger Woods and Michael Phelps. That summer, Pico would go on to beat Zane Rutherford 2 more times and earn himself a spot in the junior world team, where he'd eventually lose to Hassan the Greatest Yazdani in the finals, earning himself a silver junior world medal. In November of 2014, Aaron Pico officially signed with Bellator. Bellator knew that in order to sign Pico, he needed the freedom to make the Olympic team in 2016, where he could then go on to accomplish his lifelong dream of winning an Olympic gold medal. Because of how much respect and hype Pico had, they were okay with that. Pico's original time frame for his pro debut wasn't until the year 2020, about 5 to 6 years after signing with the promotion in 2014. 2015 was another grind year for Pico as he competed at 4 senior level major tournaments. He was now 18 years old and was now facing the level of competition he yearned for. He had some solid wins over the top athletes for Team USA and a close loss 6-3 to Brent Metcalf, who was the favorite to represent the United States the following year at the 2016 Olympics. Pico was right there in the mix. He finished that year with a bronze medal at the famous Bill Farrell Invitational and a 4th place finish at the US Senior Nationals. Leading up to the Olympic trials in April, Aaron Pico did not compete nearly as much as he did the previous years. He spent more times overseas competing in Ukraine and Belarus. Pico's longtime wrestling coach Valentin Kalika did not believe in competing too much leading up to a big tournament, as he believed it built up their hunger to compete and save their bodies from the wear and tear. The time was finally here. The trials were held in Iowa City, Iowa, with the #1 seed and former Hawkeye favorite, Brent Metcalf, at the top of the bracket. And not to mention a loaded field with competitors like Frank Molinaro, Logan Stieber, James Green, Zane Rutherford, Reese Humphrey, Jordan Oliver, and Pico himself. Aaron Pico put the community on notice on day 1 by knocking off Jason Ness, then Jordan Oliver, and eventually Reese Humphrey. On the other side of the bracket, top-seeded Brent Metcalf was knocked off by Frank Molinaro, which many people did not predict this. Not only did Molinaro knock off Metcalf in Iowa City, he also made the finals by knocking off Logan Stieber. Many people did not predict this finals matchup for Pico, but Pico had beaten Molinaro twice in the past and lost to him only once. The finals of the Olympic trials were a best 2 out of 3. In match number 1, Aaron Pico took care of business, beating Molinaro by a 4-2 decision. In match number 2, Molinaro flipped the script by beating Pico by a 3-4 decision.
The decider here for Molinaro and Pico, men's freestyle, 65 kilograms, 143 pounds.
In match number 3, Molinaro beat Pico a second time on criteria. Frank Molinaro would go on to represent the United States at the 2016 Olympics. Aaron Pico was crushed. This loss did not sit well with Aaron, but not in a way that a loss normally pains a competitive athlete of Pico's caliber, but more in a way in which Aaron Pico felt he was robbed of his Olympic dreams.
The Olympic Games is the biggest tournament you can possibly, and to be cut out of it because you lost 4-4, just kind of absurd to me.
He's been asked multiple times about this loss at the Olympic trials, and Pico has expressed that he felt that the better wrestler did not win that day. Aaron Pico lost to Frank Molinaro in match number 3 by a 4-4 decision on criteria, meaning Pico lost on a technicality of the rules instead of being outscored by his opponent that day. This put a sour taste in Pico's mouth for the sport of wrestling. This wasn't the first time that Pico had a sour taste for wrestling. Many people believe that Pico signed all those deals for the money, but Pico's distaste for folk-style wrestling was the bigger reason behind the decision. Pico felt like Americans were at a disadvantage for competing in folk style in high school and college, unlike the rest of the world that competes in freestyle and Greco-Roman. Simply put, Aaron Pico was ahead of his time. Wrestling was never enough for Pico. Many believed that he might compete a little longer as he wasn't supposed to compete in MMA until 2020. Pico's professional debut came much earlier than anticipated, only 1 year after the Olympic trials, when Aaron Pico competed in Bellator's first ever pay-per-view event at the famous Madison Square Garden. Although Pico's career has had its ups and downs, he is still seen as one of the biggest stars in the Bellator promotion, and just recently signed another multi-year deal with the company. Just like his career in wrestling, the hype for Aaron Pico has been expressed by Joe Rogan.
Joe texts me and goes, "Hey dude, there's this beast named Aaron Pico, new dude coming up. He wants to train with you." Like
Brennan Schaub and many other UFC fighters and almost every MMA media outlet. Although Pico's wrestling days are behind him, I personally believe he could be right back in the mix if he dedicated the time for it. I wouldn't hold my breath though. If you guys like this video, please scroll down, click like, drop a comment, and let us know your thoughts. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.